Hello students, welcome to Learner's Planet. We were studying about tissues. We had started with the animal tissues after studying all about the plant tissues. Now in animals, we had studied that there are four major categories and they are epithelial tissue, muscular tissue, connective tissue and nervous tissue. So epithelial was involved in the protection type of functions like absorption or gaseous exchange and all those. Or they are forming the external lining of body or the different parts of the body. Then we had started with the muscular tissue. In the muscular tissue, we said that the cells are so elongated that they are actually called as fibers, muscle fibers. These muscle fibers, they are having contractile nature. And they of course support the function of movement of body or different body parts. Now from the movement, the point is so much clear that the movement could be associated with the locomotion, or it could be the internal molecular movement or the movement of suppose various internal parts of the body, which is supporting the different functions of different parts. On this basis, the muscles are classified in various categories. What are those categories? If you remember, we had studied about various categories over there. And what those particular categories are, let us mention it here in this chart, in this sheet. So basically, if you remember, the very first class that we had studied was striated muscles. So we had completed with striated muscles. Let us summarize it again. These striated muscles, they are also known as strip muscles, skeletal muscles or voluntary muscles. Why so? Because they are having alternate band pattern. When we observe it under the microscope, we can observe that there are bands in between. There are some margins over there. So these margins, they are the band and they provide it a strip look over there, and thus they are called as strip muscles. Then next thing is that they are supporting the skeletal tissues. You know what is our skeleton? It is a framework of the body made up of bone. So these cells are generally associated with these particular skeletal structures. For example, like your limbs. And thus they help in the movement or the change in your location. They help you in walking, running or eating or doing any physical activity. Like they are associated with certain different facial bones. We can say like the bones which are present in the neck. So the muscles which are associated with these structures, and these are known as the striated muscles or the skeletal muscles. They are also known as voluntary because they are functioning according to our wish. If you want to walk, you can move. If you want to run, you can run. But it is not forcefully done. And of course, when we do these high exercises, these muscles, they may get fatigued also. So they need rest. Now these especially they are cylindrical structures which are unbranched and they are having multiple nucleus. So this is what we have studied about the striated muscles. Next category is unstriated. Unstriated, which is also known as the smooth muscles, and of course we are going to study about these smooth muscles in today's session. These smooth muscles, they are also known as involuntary muscles or visceral muscles. Besides this, there is another category which is actually having properties of both these kind of tissues. They are involuntary, but their physical features are different from the striated. See, they are having the properties of both and they are known as cardiac muscles. And these cardiac muscles, they are associated with the heart structure. So the heart is made up or it is associated by the cardiac muscles. So now in today's session, let us study about the various others. That is striated we have completed in the previous session. Now let us begin with the unstriated and the cardiac muscles. Here we go with the smooth muscles. So these smooth muscles, they appear smooth. Why is it so? The reason is because they are not having that type of pattern as we have observed in the case of striated muscles. Like the bands or the strips which are present over the membrane, they are absent in the case of smooth muscles. And this is the reason why we are calling it as a unstriated muscles. So this striated or the striations, they are meaning the strip. They means the strip. So these strips, they are made up of what? They are made up of alternate bands of actin and myosin filament. Actin and myosin, they are the contractile proteins. Now, absence of these bands doesn't mean that the smooth muscles, they are devoid of these contractile proteins. No, even they are having the proteins. They are having some contractile threads over there which we call as myofibrils. And these myofibrils help them in the contraction and relaxation. Besides this, these are known as visceral muscles. So visceral means the inner portion of your body. The internal organs which are located towards internal side of the body. External we can consider like limbs, your face, eyes, nose, all these are known, they are the external part. But visceral which are present towards the internal side of the body. So you can think of the example. It could be like your stomach, your intestine, kidney or esophagus or whatever is present towards inside in the body is known as visceral. So these visceral muscles are associated with these internal organs of the body, thus they are also called as visceral muscles. Then another name here is involuntary muscles. Involuntary, that means those which are not functioning according to our wish. What does it mean? They are regulated themselves in association with the nervous tissue. For example, let us say when we are eating the food, it goes to the esophagus and then it goes to the stomach. How? By the peristaltic movement. You must have studied about this peristalsis. It means the rhythmic contraction of the muscles and which is pushing the food in a forward direction. This we are studying in context with the esophagus. But peristaltic movement is basically, it means the rhythmic contraction and then relaxation so as to push something in a unidirectional, in a single direction way. So these muscles, they are, once the food goes into the esophagus, it will be carried out towards the stomach by these involuntary contractions of the muscles. Now it is not possible that you will just order your esophagus and this will push the food material outside. That is not possible. Fine. Similarly, we can say if it goes to the stomach, the churning of food will take place. Now it is not in your hand that suppose whatever you have eaten once, it will be like, I don't like such a particular thing, and you will take out that back in the esophagus and then from mouth you can just emit it out. That is practically not possible. Once you have ingested the food and it is transported to the esophagus and the different parts of the alimentary canal, then it is regulated by the smooth muscles only. So, and it is of course in a forward direction. So such a control is basically maintained by these smooth muscles. Like kidney, once you drink the water, it is going to be finally in your kidneys and then the filtration is taking place. Excess of water will be removed by the body in the form of urine. So it is not like if excess of water is there, you can recollect it in your own way. No, it is not in your hand. It is an involuntary action and is maintained by the involuntary muscles. Now these cells or the muscles, they occur as a bundles or the sheets of the elongated cells. Now since we said that these are elongated cells, we generally call them as the fibers. And these special muscles, they are having pointed ends. You can see this in this diagram. They are elongated and they are spindle shaped. They are pointed at the ends, right? They are having tapering ends in the structure. So such type of structure is known as fusiform. If you remember striated muscles, you remember what was the structure over there? They appeared cylindrical. Their structure was something like this. They are having this type of structure. There was bands in between, which you can see here are absent in the case of unstriated muscles. They were having multiple nucleus which were present towards the sarcolemma, towards the periphery. But in the case of unstriated muscles, they are having a single nucleus which is centrally located. Next thing, the cytoplasm which is present in between is known as sarcoplasm, and the membrane or the plasma membrane of these cells is known as sarcolemma. Besides, we said that they are having some special fibers, contractile fibers, and those fibers are known as myofibrils. Now, myo stands for muscle and fibrils for the fibers. The contraction and relaxation of these myofibrils actually help in the movement of a particular part of the body. So these are actually unstriated and they are involuntary. Next is that these cells, you can see they are having, as they are having fusiform structure, there must be some spaces in between, and they have to be, as we said, they are present in the form of a sheet or in the form of a bundle. Now, how this bundle is tied over? Is there any rope which is holding them together? No. These are held together by the loose connective tissue. Connective tissue we are going to study all in detail. For now, just remember one thing, that the space of these cells or the muscular tissue, they are held together tightly with the help of these connective tissue. The next is further they are having a centrally located nucleus. Now the point is where these must be present. That is the occurrence. So smooth muscles, as we already said that they are visceral type of muscles, so definitely it is present in the organs, internal organs of the body. They are found in the organs which are present in the viscera of your body. Viscera, that means internal part. Let us consider what structures may be associated with these special smooth muscles. These could be walls of the hollow alimentary canal. Alimentary canal, you remember? You know what it is? This alimentary canal, it starts from the mouth. It begins from your mouth and then it extends towards the esophagus. Here it is not seen because in front the heart or these locations are shown. So from here it is beginning and it is ending up with the anus. So it is a food pipe. It is structure which is associated with the digestion. So this digestive canal which begins from mouth till anus, the internal parts like esophagus, like stomach, like intestine, all are associated with the smooth muscles. They are separated by the epithelial lining, and below that epithelial lining the smooth muscles are present. And of course in between there is a presence of loose connective tissue, especially which one? Areolar tissue. What is this areolar tissue? That we are of course going to study in the further session. Now besides this, we can say they are also present in the ducts of the glands. You remember, all your body is controlled by the hormonal system and the nervous system. So hormonal system, they are comprised of the glands as well as the hormones. Hormones are secreted from the glands. They need to be transported to a particular target site. So how this transportation is taking place? It may be via blood or it may be through the duct. So these ducts of glands, they are associated with the smooth muscles. That means at a particular site when the glands have secreted a hormone, it will be automatically transported to the site of its action. It is nothing like the gland will become selfish and it will just hold it, or it will just keep the hormonal secretion with itself forever. No, it is involuntary action and is transported to the target site with the help of the contraction and relaxation of these smooth muscles which are present in the duct. Similarly, they are present in the urinogenital ducts. Urinogenital means what? The duct which is associated with the urinary system and the genital system. For example, let us say when the sperms are produced. So these sperms which are produced by the testes of a male, it will be transported to the urethra through the vas deferens. Then from once it reaches the urethra, it will be transported to outside. So these ducts like vas deferens or these urethra which is present inside the penis, it is actually it is supported by the smooth muscles. Similarly, urine. Once the bladder is full with the urine, it is to be transported to the outside. And of course that is controlled by it is transported through a duct known as urethra. Now this urethra is longer in case of male and is shorter in case of a female. So these are further transported through these ducts, and these are under the control of the smooth muscles. It is not practically possible that you can even when your bladder is full, you can hold it for a very longer period of time. It has to be excreted out, and this excretion is supported or it is controlled by these smooth muscles. Similarly, the blood vessels. How many type of blood vessels are there in our body? There are arteries, veins and capillaries. So basically arteries, they carry oxygenated blood, right, from heart to different parts of the body. Now these blood vessels, they are transporting it from heart to the body parts. This is the important point which we are stressing for studying the smooth muscles. What? That the arteries, they carry blood from heart towards the body parts. It is never possible that the blood from arteries, in the arteries will carry blood from body parts towards the heart. No, it is always unidirectional flow from heart towards the body parts. And what about the veins? They carry deoxygenated blood from body parts towards the heart. It is never possible that the reverse is going to happen. So this type of flow of blood in the vessels is actually controlled by the smooth muscles. There has to be such a particular pressure for the normal functioning of the body. So that is actually possible due to these contractile muscles present or surrounding the vessels here. Now you can understand that what are the functions of these special muscle fibers. They are simply, once you can say, they are not working to our will, but all the functions which are needed here, they are performed essentially. So now let us say how they are not working to our will, but still they are very much important. Just imagine that what type of functions are there which are not working to our will, like opening and closing of the tubes. Let us say movement of food in the alimentary canal, which we have already studied. Then the other like peristaltic movements in different regions. Then we can say the movement in the urinary bladder, in the gallbladder, that means transport of secretion of liver and pancreas into the, let us say, small intestine. All these are not taking place according to our will, and thus such type of functions are known as involuntary action, and they are of course essential for our body, a normal functioning of the body. So from this diagram we can also say that these limbs, they are having the skeletal muscles, and the visceral organs from esophagus till your anus, or all which is present in this thoracic and your abdominal cavity internally, they are associated with the smooth muscle. Now further, let us study about the cardiac muscles. So cardiac muscles, they are specialized cells which are associated with the heart, and they shows the characteristics of smooth cells or as well as the striated muscles. Striated, unstriated, both these muscles, they are the characteristics are present in the cardiac. That means not all, of course, they are in some points they are similar to striated, in other points they are similar to the unstriated. From the diagram, it is somehow something clear that how these must be similar or they must be different from the other kinds of muscles. So we can say the cardiac muscles, they are involuntary, like unstriated muscles, but They are cylindrical like striated muscles. So let us just compare these properties here. So these cardiac muscles, we said that these are cylindrical in nature, and this is one of the characteristic feature of the striated muscles. Then we can say that these are having a single nucleus. They are uninucleated. So what is the position of this nucleus in the case of how we can compare it with the nucleus of other type of muscles? Cardiac cells are having a single nucleus and is present towards the periphery. The property is something like, it is centrally located. So these are actually similar to, position wise it is similar to unstriated muscle, but unlike striated muscles, although cylindrical, but the striated, they are having multinucleus. They are multinucleated. Then further, we can compare the branches. Cardiac muscles are branched muscles, but the other two are, of course, they are unbranched type. So they are forming here branches, and these branches are associated with each other. Now, although they are having similar structure like that of striated, but they are not having these striated are not having the branches over there. So these are several physical properties which we can compare here in case of all these three types of muscles. Now let us study individually about the cardiac muscles. So we said that cardiac muscles, they are composed of these branched fibers. Now these branched fibers, they were not present in the case of striated muscles. So in this case, although they are branched, but these branches are joined together and they are forming a sort of network. Network of what? Network of the cardiac muscles. That means the heart, the muscles which are present in the heart. These cells, they are having strips. Strips of what? Strips of light and dark bands which are made up of proteins, and this helps in contraction and relaxation of these muscles. Now these muscles, they need to contract and relax continuously. They should not be tired. So this is another important feature of these cardiac muscles. Now if we compare it with the striated muscles, that is your skeletal muscles, so although they were also having these light and dark bands, even they were cylindrical in nature, but still they are more prone to get tired over there. And of course their contraction rate may vary according to the physical activity of an individual person. In the case of cardiac muscles, the normal rate is supposed to be standard, and of course they need to come back to normal rate always. It is going to be higher, it may result in a problem. If it is low, then it can cause a low blood pressure. So basically these contractions of the cardiac muscles, it should be standard, it should be uniform. You know what is a heartbeat? A constant rhythmic contraction and relaxation of a heart is known as a heartbeat. So how this contraction or relaxation is taking place? It is taking place because of the presence of these special cardiac muscles which are present over there. Now of course you cannot stop your heartbeat, it is not in our hand. If it stops even for a second, you may have a heart attack. So they are involuntary in action, and of course they have to take place constantly throughout the life. And this is the special property of these stripped type of cardiac muscles. Now these cells or the muscles, they show some intercalated disc, and these intercalated disc will provide them more and more strength to the cardiac muscle. What are these intercalated discs? These are actually the interdigitation of plasma membrane or the sarcolemma. Now the sarcolemma, you can see it is actually interdigited and they are forming a disc-like structure in these cells here. And therefore these disc-like structure, they are called as intercalated disc. And of course they are meant for providing support to the branches or these particular cells. They are helping these fibers to arrange themselves in a linear fashion. This linear pattern is possible due to the presence of these interdigitations in the sarcolemma, and that's what we are calling as the intercalated disc. Now, as we are saying that they need to contract and relax constantly throughout the life without getting tired. So for that purpose, of course, they need more and more energy. The energy requirement is very high, as the chance of tiredness in this case means a death of an individual organism. That should not happen. They need a constant energy. Even if the rate is high, they need energy for that purpose and is supposed to come down to normal rate. So that is basically possible due to the presence of numerous mitochondria in this particular structure. They are having more mitochondria as compared to the other type of the cells. And thus they get the constant supply of energy as per requirement. So the occurrence, as we have already stated, that these are the cardiac muscles and they are forming the circulatory pumping organ of the body, which is known as a heart. You can see in this structure here, the location is in your chest cavity, in between the two lungs, towards a little bit towards the left side of your chest cavity. So these tissues or these structures, they are made up of these cardiac muscle fibers. And function is of course what? It is a contraction and relaxation. It's a constant, a rhythmic contraction and relaxation of a heart muscle. And why this contraction and relaxation here is required? It is required for pumping or for the circulation of blood in the various body regions. If this blood supply is inhibited, if it is stopped in any case, then definitely a person is not going to survive any longer. So these heart muscles, they are contracting and they are pushing this, they are flowing the blood in the forward direction. Not only this, they can also receive it from the body parts via veins. So all this receiving and further transporting to the lungs and to the other body parts is possible because of the constant or rhythmic contraction and relaxation of these special cardiac muscles. So this is all about the function and location of different kind of muscles. We can just summarize here now. There are three types of muscles. They are skeletal muscles, then comes your unstriated muscles and the cardiac muscles. So the one that is skeletal, it is meant for the locomotion or the movement of internal body parts. The one which is associated with the bones. Then comes your unstriated, they are also known as visceral cells, and of course they are involuntary in their function. And they are associated with the internal visceral organs of the body. The third category is cardiac muscles, which is associated with the functioning of the heart. So now let us end up with this particular point, with this chapter, and next we are going to continue with the next type of animal tissue. Till then, thank you so much. Have a nice day. We'll catch you soon in the next session.